tahun lagi untuk jenjang SMP yang namanya Shugako. Kemudian di jenjang SMA 3 tahun juga namanya Tokyo Ugako. Ya, dan itu nama kurikulumnya juga berbeda karena di sana itu untuk jenjang pendidikan anak usia dini itu tidak diwajibkan, tetapi karena orang tuanya di sana itu sadar bahwa pendidikan itu penting untuk membentuk karakter anak-anak mereka, membentuk karakter yang baik, disiplin dan menghargai waktu itu, maka orang tua di sana juga memasukkan anak-anaknya ke jenjang pendidikan anak usia dini, dan kurikulumnya itu namanya Kalau di Jepang itu juga ada transformasi kurikulum selama 10 tahun sekali.
Betul sekali.
Tapi amazingnya, meskipun 10 tahun sekali, tapi Jepang sudah mempersiapkan itu 3 tahun sebelum kurikulum itu diterbitkan, itu sudah direncanakan gitu. Jadi ya sangat amazing sekali nih Mbak. Lalu kayaknya
Halo Mbak Hellya. Oh, Mr.Saidan.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon,
I haven't
Mr.Saidan.
been able to change the background of the Zoom.
Yeah.
Which icon should I click?
Oh yeah, okay.
This one there.
No problem if you can use this virtual background.
I like to change it. Choose the virtual background. Okay. I should find out.
Mbak Hellya, test mic.
Is it okay? Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you hear me, Bunda Kulsum?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clear. Yeah. We can start and we live in YouTube RBV ya.
Masya Allah. Okay.
Okay, let's start.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The distinguished guest, Mr. Saidan, as a speaker in this webinar series. The Honorable Dr. Kulsum Hayati, M.Pd, M.Si, as the lecturer and the founder of RBP, Ruang Belajar Virtual. Welcome in webinar lecturing with them of the concept in education in Japan and Netherlands. And first of all, let's begin our webinar series with say Basmalah together.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
I am Hellya Rahmatun Nisa as a moderator that will lead in this seminar for 60 minutes ahead. Then I do delivers that our regulation in this webinar. The first rules for all the participants, please open camera, then if you're able to. And the second one, please maintain off your microphone to not distract our speakers when Mr. Saidan delivering his presentation. And the rules number 3, please wear the nice and proper dress. And number 4, make sure that you prepare your stationery because you will write the insight from Mr. Saidan. MashaAllah. So without any further ado, let's begin our agenda. And the first agenda is a welcoming speech by Dr. Kulsum Hayati, M.Pd, M.Si. To Dr. Kulsum Hayati, M.Pd, M.Si, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Hellya Rahmatun Nisa, my smart student for Magister program of early childhood Islamic Education of Sunan Kalijaga Islamic State University in Yogyakarta. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Asyhadu alla ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Our grateful to Allah for His mercy and guidance. The Honorable Speaker Mr.Saidan from Aji Barang Senior High School in Banyumas, Central Java. How are you today, sir?
Alhamdulillah, fine and healthy, but tired and sleepy now.
Oh, yeah. Are you fasting?
Sure.
What do you feel after back to Indonesia? Are you happy stay in Tokyo or stay in cold water?
Yeah,
Banyumas.
as a village boy, I prefer staying in Indonesia as we can
Oh, yeah.
enjoy different food and culinaries and meeting people with the similar background. It is, I think, when talking about living in village in Indonesia is much better.
Yeah, okay, very nice. I hope you always happy and healthy more in Indonesia, yeah. The honorable, all distinguished participants, all my students, my energetic and creative students of Magister program of early childhood Islamic education of Sunan Kalijaga Islamic State University in Yogyakarta. Good afternoon all. It is blessing for us that in this month of Ramadan, we can meet in an extraordinary moment. Yeah, we call it lecturing in special education. The subject is the comparison of foreign curricula, or in bahasa perbandingan kurikulum mancanegara. This event proudly presented by students from Magister program of Early Childhood Islamic Education of Sunan Kalijaga Islamic State University in Yogyakarta, ya, UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Yogyakarta. On this occasion, I would like to encourage all my students to learn more deeply about curricula in Japan and Netherlands. I hope that Mr. Saidan, as a resource person today, can share the experiences and point of view, yeah, maybe your point of view about education in Japan and Netherlands. Mr. Saidan, you are I think you are a great person because you were elected two times as the principal of Indonesian School Board, from 2007 to 2010 in Tokyo. That's right. Yeah.
No, in The Hague, Netherlands, 2007.
Oh, in Netherlands, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. And from 2019 and 2022 in
Yes,
Japan.
yes.
Okay.
After
Yeah. I know you are very competent. Yeah. And I know that when you were principal in Japan and Netherlands, you make collaboration with schools in Japan and Netherlands. So actually you got many experiences and insight, of course, from them. Yeah. So can't wait to listen to your inspiring presentation today. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, all distinguished participants, thank you for your active participation today. May God always bless us. Nasru minallahi wa fathun qarib wa basiril mu'minin wa billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank
Waalaikumsalam
you, Miss
warahmatullahi
Hellya.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much for Ibu Dr. Kulsum Nur Hayati, M.Pd, M.Si, for great welcoming speech. And now we are going to the next agenda. The next agenda is the main agenda. It will be delivered presentation and welcoming speech by Mr. Saidan. But before it, Mr. Saidan, I would like to excuse me to do reminder the participants to make sure that you write the insight, because it is very great insight from his experience directly in Japan. And please open your camera, and while the discussion and do presentation, if you have any question, you could to type in the chat box, or if you want to speak and ask Mr. Saidan directly, so please wait for the asking section. Okay. Now, without any further ado, Mr. Saidan, how are you?
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. Today is Monday, the 17th of April 2023. It has been written in Lahul Mahfuz that I could meet and take part in this nice occasion, discussion or just talk about education, especially curriculums and some overviews of the education system in other countries. The distinguished guest, not the guest, yet distinguished host, the owners or the founder of Rumah Belajar Virtual, our beloved colleague, Mrs. Kulsum Hayati, the doctor, the Masters of Education and Masters of Science, one of the lecturers in Yogyakarta State University, Islamic State Universities, and our juniors, students of the past or postgraduate S2 programs, Islamic education, Yogyakarta Islamic State University. As I said to Mrs. Kulsum some days ago, I could be invited to join this kind of discussion, but I must try to use other languages, not Indonesian, but English, not because we like to show off, but just to, like Mrs. Hayati said, that it is just to encourage, to enlighten the quality of our education and also the qualities of teachers in any levels. That is the point. Why in this good opportunity I use English for that communication. Although I myself are still learning and as not a native speaker, of course, I should appreciate the presenters or the master of ceremony of this occasion, Mrs. Hellya, Rahmatun, Nisa. Your English is very good. And also I could see the improvement of English conducted and done by Dr. Kulsum Hayati.
Thank you so much, sir, my teacher.
She has been presenting many articles and discussion with other universities from other countries. That is a good experience and also very nice occasion. Ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry, sir.
Yes.
Miss Hellya will read about your profile first.
Okay.
Excuse me, yeah.
Just go on.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Saidan. Before you continue your sharing section, so ladies and gentlemen, I would like to read the profile from Mr. Saidan. His name is Saidan. He was born in Kebumen, 24 August 1966. He has a lot of the hobby like reading, social activity, gardening, and traveling, mashallah. And he also has the history of devotion, like in the list. I read it, mashallah. Since 1994 to 2004, he ever become a teacher of the senior high school number 1 Patikara Banyumas Center of Java, and in 2005 he became an exchange teacher to Queensland in Australia, and since 2007 2010 he became a principal of Indonesian school in the Hague in Netherlands. And since 2011 2012 he ever become the teacher of the senior high school number 1 Jatilawang Banyumas Center of Java. And he also ever, okay, the list, he has a lot of list of the history devotion. And the one very interesting, in 2019 and 2022, he ever become a principal of Indonesian school, Tokyo and Japan. And now he is, Mr. Saidan is principal of Jibarang State Senior High School in Banyumas, Central Java. So he is very, Mr. Saidan is very capable to speak in our demo today. So I welcoming again to Mr. Saidan to continue the presentation.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for just showing the experiences. As we always motivate our colleagues here that as long as we have given chances from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala before we all pass away and fade away, 2050 or 2023, please do our best as the legacy. Okay, let me start from the first page of our presentation, please, Mrs. Kulsum, are you ready with the?
Yeah, Miss Hellya will share the screen for your presentation.
Sorry, today I used corporate uniform as the every 17th of 17 every month. The public servants should wear this kind of uniform dresses. Okay.
Okay, wait a minute, Mr. Saidan.
Okay, yes, no problem. While waiting, Mrs. Hellya, where are you from? Where do you live?
I am Sumatranese. I'm from South Sumatra. I'm Palembangese actually. Okay.
Could you start on the first page, please?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Actually, Mrs. Hayati told me that to prepare the comparison of education, especially the curriculums in two countries, Japan and the Netherlands. But because of the time and also the conditions, I just prepared the PowerPoint or presentation in Japan, but I could relate while discussing every aspect. And this special moment, we like to share about what I know about the education, especially kindergarten to the high school in Japan. Second page, please. The areas of discussion for this afternoon's session will be the introduction and then curriculums, guidelines, and then length of the study, especially from the kindergarten to the high school, and then the elementary, junior, and high school, and then extra curricular, and then summary. I believe that in 1 hour, we still have a lot of time for discussion or for asking questions and something just to encourage the confidence of using foreign language to improve the quality of teachers. Okay, go on. Yes, I think after we come across and have an experience to witness the practices in other countries, I also went to Australia as an exchange teacher in 2005. I was teaching there in Indonesian subject to high school students. In general, the system and concept of education in Japan, in the Netherlands, in Australia, and other countries are similar. And the values why every country has the responsibility to educate the citizens that they want to have the quality and the integrity of the citizens that could improve the quality of life for their nation, especially in Japan and also in Indonesia for the time being. The characters like discipline and then preserving traditions, like in everyday life, we now are curious and also sometimes worried about that our old traditions in certain areas and regions in Indonesia sometimes gradually eroded by the foreign practices of tradition, but we would like to discuss later. In Japan, all the people and the country are committed to having advanced technologies and high economy, but they still preserve the traditions. And then, as you can also witness in everyday life, the Japanese people still have the high characters like respecting others and also politeness. These are also in Indonesia are being encouraged to be educated for the students, as we understand that the characters are the foundation of the civilizations of the nation. And then in Japan, there are code of morals. It is called Bushido. In the past, it is a code for the knighthood or the patriotism or for the samurai, that every people are considered valuable, are considered high quality if they have truth. In Indonesia, I think it can be translated into kebenaran and then virtue. It is like kebijakan atau kebijaksanaan, wisdom, and then respect. Respect means that it is the characters that every student from the beginning of education, like you are now practicing in the kindergarten, we teach and we educate them to have the respect to other people, especially the seniors, and then honesty, and then dignity, and then loyalty and integrity. These are the values of the moral code that must be belong to high quality citizens, and also in Indonesia must be included in any kind of subjects taught in curriculums. Next. As it is said at the first page, and I think the practices and concept of education in Indonesia and also in Japan and other countries are similar, and all the regulations are prepared by the Ministry of Education and Culture and Sport and Science and Technology. You know, the name of the Indonesian Ministry of Education is now similar to the Japan ones. Japan is MET, stands for the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sport, Science and Technology. In Indonesia, in this presidential period, the Ministry of Education and Culture is added with technology and science. And then the organization of the schooling in Indonesia is similar to like it is in Japan. That is specifies material taught in all elementary, junior, and senior high school. Before students enter the elementary, junior, and high school, they also provide what we call the kindergarten, or Mrs. Hayati said, what is underage? What is the term for PIAUD in Indonesia? What is the name of PIAUD? Hayati, you just told me this morning. Under 8 or in the
Under 6.
under
6.
oh under 6 yeah, okay. And then like Indonesia too, the Ministry of Education provide the standards and then regulations and practices in school. It depends on the need of the local and Western. They add some kind of skills and something like that. And then the ministry also publishes the commentary, or commentary means a kind of complementary regulation for all education system and procedures. The Ministry of Education, Culture, Sport, Science and Technology prepares the guideline with the basic outline of each subject taught in the Japanese schools. Typically, the guideline is revised every 10 years, or the curriculum in Japan, and they usually are revised and every 10 years to update content and objective. Content means the syllabus, and then the objective or the purpose of the education. And since 1986, the purpose of the official authorization system had been in effect for standardization and maintain neutrality on the political and religious issues, as it is demanded and hoped by the citizens that in education we should avoid any political and religious issues. Next. Exactly similar to what it is practiced in Indonesia, the Japanese school system length of study is considered of 6 years in elementary school. Elementary school means student before, after the kindergarten, from the age of 6 until the age of 12. In Indonesia, it is called the Sekolah Dasar. Following that would be 3 years of junior high school and another 3 years of the high school. At the end of the study, students should be around the age of 18. After high school graduate, students are free to choose universities or polytechnic or something like that. A student that pursue the higher education typically will be attending school for another 1 or 4 years in vocational school, junior college, or university. It is exactly similar to in Indonesia. After high school graduates, student can choose college or polytechnic or university. Next. You can read all of this, the whole system of the organization of school system in Japan. It is too little, I could not read it. Next. Elementary school. The focus here we would like to share is that the subject or the lessons that are taught in a school. What are subjects that are taught for this, that are learned, that are studied by students at school? The elementary school level, during this period of time, the school curriculum covers the Japanese and social studies, the Japanese language, and also the Japanese culture. It must be given to students from the elementary school. And then the social studies in Indonesia, it may like IPS, and then mathematics, science, music, art, and craft. Or craft here is wirausaha or keterampilan. And then physical education, olahraga. This stage of learning usually start at age of 6. It's similar to Indonesia, and continues for 6 more years until the age of 12 years old. So by the age of 12 years, students, like in Indonesia, pass the elementary school, added about 1 or 2 years in the garden. And then a large share of time spent in elementary school is learning how to write and read Japanese. Like in Indonesia, Calistung, baca, tulis, and perhitung, katakana, hiragana, and kanji. These special terms you could refer and check it in the Google later. Typically, most students learn the English alphabet in the 4th grade. So in Japan, schools, either in a private or in a public schools, like in Indonesia, some schools also give the subject for other languages like English at the grade in the grade of 4. English is currently required in the 5th and 6th grade, but is taught through informal activities like extracurricular rather than as a graded subject. So, because English is widely used, including in Japan, so since grade 4, 5, and 6, students are given subject of English, although it is not be included as a compulsory, but it is a kind of a local wisdom. Next. Junior high school or middle school, like SMP in Indonesia, during junior high school, the student is typically between the age of 12 to 15 years of age. The standard curriculum for the junior high school student requires students to learn subjects like the Japanese language and culture, social studies, mathematics, science, and foreign language, including English. The most popular one in Japan for junior high school in learning foreign language, like in Indonesian language too. Some high school in Japan also give the Indonesian language, and then music, fine art, health, and physical education. I think it is similar. The only difference maybe you can notice is that there is not any religion lesson and also extracurricular activities. During this stage of school, the curriculum requires students to decide on a foreign language to learn that can consist of English, French, Korean, German, and others. As you understand that the Chinese, Korea, Japan are not in a good relations because of the history in the past. Sometimes the Japanese people do not like the Chinese things like the language of Chinese. This is the benefit for Indonesia. Next. And this is the senior high school. During high school, the student is typically between the age of 15 to 18, exactly the same as we are in Indonesia. The standard curriculum contents at most during this time of study consists of Japanese language. I think the same like in Indonesia. Every subject, every level of education should provide Indonesian language, geography, and history. This is the identical one. I mean, the difference between the previous levels, there is geography and history and civics, like in Indonesia PKN, and the mathematics, science, health, and physical education, art, foreign languages, like it is in junior high school, and then home economics. It is not unusual to see students participate in extracurricular activities and integrated study which are required. And here, like in Indonesia, the high school also consists of two big lines or big division. Some schools provide also for vocational program for students that take courses in areas of studies like business, industrial art, and agriculture. Students in the program spend less time in the core curriculum subject compared to the regular ones. after graduating from the high school, students are now able to decide on a higher education or the universities or polytechnics or academy, or to join the workforce and work. As long as we understand that the compulsory education in Japan is only until the junior high school, so the expense and also the the budget for parents when they send the children to high school is a little bit more expensive than we are in Indonesia, especially in Central Java. The policy of the government in Central Java, every student study in a public school are free at charge. They don't need to pay anything. Next. Exactly similar to what we have in Indonesia. The students are also given the extracurricular activities to provide them and give them the medium for improving their talent, their skills and potentials, either in sport or in science or in other subjects like art and culture. The extracurricular activities are normal and required for students in Japan from elementary school up to high school. Most of these activities are under teacher or a responsible adult supervision and guidance. I think not only in Japan, in Australia, also in the Netherlands, usually extracurriculars are done or conducted after the school, and without the presence of teachers and responsible supervision, they could not be conducted. Why? It is just to safety and to security matters. So not only in extracurriculars, during break time, teachers are also put in certain location to check the condition to prevent any event that will harm students. Typically, these activities are done or conducted either before school hours in the morning or after school hours to avoid disrupting normal education flow. I think it is similar exactly as in Indonesia. Most colleague-bound students typically withdraw from club activities during the senior year in preparation for university entrance examinations. It means that after students are in a grade 12, they reduce the activities of club, of sport or something like that. They try to focus on how to get the ticket for universities. Additionally, students participate in cram school. Cram school means a kind of bimbingan belajar. It can be done at school after regular classes, regular hours. Approximately 60% of the Japanese high school students go for supplemental lesson that specializes in preparing students for examination. These classes extend the students' day. In Indonesia also, there are some intensification or extra lessons just to prepare students for the selection for the university. It's exactly the same. And these classes extend student school day until after the class until Maghrib or until sunset into the evening hours. And there is additional homework. And the next summary in 30 minutes, we can finish it. Education. Mrs. Nur Hayati's students may have learned about what is education. Education is the conscious attempts to prepare a generation and citizen to have the quality and skills that are useful and beneficial to advance the society advance the country, the nation to get the better levels of civilization, level of prosperity someday. And from the discussion about the system of education in Japan, also in Indonesia, the time being, the values of education in Japan, the government, and also the society have the principle that people move forward and get the advanced levels in any kind of aspect of life, but they are not living their old tradition, like the customs, the system of society, and also the costumes of the people, and then the practices of respecting all religion and something. And then the characters and morals are essential of foundation of nation and civilizations, like the essence of curriculum merdeka or independence curriculums that like the tree, the characters are the roots to make the tree stronger and bigger that will fruit someday. The fruit are symbols of the welfare and prosperity and also the advance of the nation. Next. Thank you, arigato. Again, thank you for this time, and also I'm proud for having chances to meet nice people, prospective leaders, and qualified teachers that are responsible for the betterment of education and also the quality of our next generation. Thank you very much. Arigato.
Thank you very much, Mr. Saidan. Arigato gozaimasu, mashallah. So now we are going to the sharing section after we hear the great presentation from Mr. Saidan, which is the material so amazing and inspire us. So, dear participants, I would like to ask you, anyone who want to ask Mr. Saidan directly, so please raise your hands, then open your microphone. But firstly, let me know if you want to ask. Then if you couldn't to ask directly, so you could type your question in the chat box. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, participants, anyone want to ask Mr. Saidan?
Yeah, please. I just like to encourage that we are not talking about the specific about the expertise of certain people, just a medium for improving our language. It is just this for them. Okay.
Okay. In bahasa, teman-teman audiens semuanya, ini adalah seksi untuk bertanya kepada Mr. Saidan. Jika teman-teman sudah memiliki pertanyaan yang sudah dicatat, dipersilahkan. Okay. But before it, let me know who want to ask to Mr. Saidan. Okay. In the chat. Okay, we have one question, Mr. Saidan, from Mbak Husni Kamil. Assalamualaikum. Thank you, Mr. Saidan. I will read it the question from Mbak Husni for Mr. Saidan.
Yes.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you to Mr. Saidan, which has explained about education in Japan. I would like to ask Mr. Saidan about education in Japan, but what should be applied to education in Indonesia based on existing education in Japan? That's all my question. Thank you, sir. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for that question. I'm not comparing. I'm not saying Indonesian is better, Indonesian is worse. No, we are learning from every positive things that every people, every nation have. But I think like it is wanted by parents, by our old generations, the education of the characters, like it was done, it is practiced in Japan. I think this will be very nice if it could be applied in Indonesia. Friendliness, and then the politeness, and then discipline, and then everybody is equal. As far as I know, in Japan, the what we call the equality among students indicated by the uniform very nice. And then the most outstanding one every day, we could see that every morning the students goes to school by public transport or by bicycles or by on foot. These are the phenomena in Holland too, in Japan, that people prefer using public transport or by foot, on foot. Then, like in Indonesia, most people like to have the motorcycle, so the streets are crowded. I think if the government here in Indonesia someday our students will become the leaders in the future, could design and could make regulations that people go to public places by public transport. That will be very nice, and also reducing the pollution and also decreasing the family budget can be the beneficial for everyone if it could be practiced. Again, I'd like to emphasize the characters, and then like the discipline, and then politeness, and then also preserving traditional values like the costume, like the practices of life, and then using public transport and obeying laws and regulations. You know, when nobody in Japan cross the street in every places, they should and they must find the zebra cross to cross the street. This is the discipline, and then obeying the regulations. Thank you.
Okay, inshallah. It's very awesome. So we could apply it in Indonesia, like in the characteristics, emphasizing about the characteristic, go to public places with the public transportation. Mbak Husni Kamil, Mike, it will answer your interestness about the Japan system. And Mr. Saidan, we are going to the next question.
Yes,
so
yes.
We have a
Raise hand.
yeah, Mbak Nur Husna Kamil raised hand. So without any further ado, Mbak Nur Husna Kamil, please open your microphone and you could to ask to Mr. Saidan directly.
Yes, please.
Please.
Thank you, Mbak Hellya and Mr. Saidan for the time. I would like to ask you about early childhood education in Japan. Before that, a monthly lately, I think I see videos related early childhood education in Japan that the teachers teach children about manners. And my questions is, what are the characteristics of Japanese education, especially in early childhood education, and whether something like manner I so before, what this really talk from the curriculum or just the policies of each school? That's all. Thank you for the answer.
Okay, thank you. What is the name of the asking? What is the name?
Her name is Nur Husna Kamil, Mr. Saidan.
Okay, thank you for that question. Based on our observation when visiting the Japanese schools, building the characters of students from the early age are necessary. I think as it is said in our introduction or the curriculum guideline, the government provide the guideline, provide some kind of procedures or something. First, it is surprising, although Japanese people are considered the advanced, the high quality of life, but students at school are trained to take part in everyday school cleaning. So every day, students cleaning their own classroom, the toilets, the verandas, and other part of the buildings. After that, they also have lunch together, and the school provide the big kitchens and also the food. And after that, also they have the facility for washing hands. And these are small things to build the characters of working together. When eating lunch together, there is a kind of picket. And then every day, picket is responsible for collecting all the dirty glasses, spoons, and plates, and put it in certain places, and then somebody is responsible for washing it. These are the characters of working together, responsible. And then the characters of respecting in Japanese school, everybody, when meeting seniors, like students meet a teacher, they should bow the body, like membungkuk, like this. In real life, when people come together and then they would like to say goodbye, they also bow each other, including when they meet people, they bow each other. These are very nice practices of high quality civilization and characters that if our people here in Indonesia could adapt, could practice it, I think the life will be so nice. No hard words, no caci maki, no kebencian, no hatred speeches like what we can see in Indonesia. Because in their own deep heart, they respect others. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Saidan. But Nur Husna Kamil, it's all the answer from your question. If you have still any question, you could to say to Mr. Saidan.
Mbak Hellya, let me permission to feedback the answer of Mr. Saidan.
Yeah, please.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Based on your said that is this indeed the policy of the curriculum, right? Yang I mean, it's like membuku. Is this indeed the policy the curriculum, right?
Yes.
Okay, I see. Thank you, Mr. Saidan, and thank you, Mbak Hellya.
Okay, you're welcome, Nur Husna Kamil. So there's chats and from Sabila Gozani, Mr. Saidan.
Yes.
She asked about Assalamualaikum, Mr. Saidan.
Waalaikumsalam.
I would like to ask Mr. Saidan about the phenomena in Japan recently. I heard that Japan is experiencing a human crisis. There is no successor for young people in Japan. Okay, many schools have to be closed. To the government has to take over. We know that the Japanese education system is very good. The question, why are Japanese people do not desire to have a younger generation? Okay, please, Mr. Saidan, to answer Sabila Gozani question.
Yeah, sometimes news will be worthy reading when it is special or unique. Yeah, it is true that based on recent research and also the phenomena in Japan, many elementary schools in remote areas are closed because lack of students because lack of marriage because people prefer living alone and something. I don't know exactly the reasons why, but based on the observation that I come across during our stay in Tokyo for 3 years, people there could enjoy life by not getting married, because married based on the recent reasons that marriage could disturb the freedom of life, and then also could make a burden in life. That's why they prefer living alone, even just with a dog or alone. That's why the government now have the policy to give the incentive for people to get married by being given the money, like in Indonesia, for example, 100 millions for those who are willing to get married. This is the policy to sustain the numbers of the population in Japan, because it is right. The population in Japan is decreasing because of the crisis of marriage. People prefer living alone because they thought that getting married is a kind of burden and a kind of reducing the freedom. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Saidan. But you mentioned before the incentive for marriage. How much the incentive, Mr. Saidan?
Yeah, based on the recent info that I read also, they could get at least about 100 until 200 millions rupiah, or in Japan it could be 200 about 2 million 2 million yens. Yes, you can just check it in online. The incentive for people who are willing to get married in Japan, the government provide that in order to motivate people to get married.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Saidan, for the answer. I just imagine, Mr. Saidan, if in Indonesia, so there's a people or young generation want to marry it. if the government want to give the incentive for the new couple, I mean. Okay, Mbak Sabila, it's all your question. Then might it will be answer your question. And the next one, we have still question, Mr. Saidan, from Mbak Lina Alfiana. I will read it for you.
Is Mbak Lina there? Are you there, Mrs. Lina? Is Mrs. Lina there in joining this Zoom?
Yeah.
If yes, you can read it, your question. So it is just a practice of using a foreign language. Yes, Mrs. Kulsum. Yes, Lina, you can read it, your question.
Lina, please.
Okay. Yeah, we can.
Mr. Saidan, yeah. Miss Lina.
Yes, please.
Probably she has still on process. Oh yeah, here. Belina is here. Come on,
Yeah,
Belina,
please.
time is yours. Belina, your microphone, please turn on. Right.
Education provides knowledge to students about various scientific methods concerning their respective disciplines. Education also teaches us to live in care and build a family, both in early childhood education institutions, where educators teach that children are born from marriages between fathers and mothers. So, how do you respond to the phenomenon of declining marriage rate in Japan in particular, or about the phenomenon child play in Japan? So, which has resulted in a decrease in the quantity of the generation, which has had an impact on several aspects, including education. So, how do you respond about that, Mr. Saidan? Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Lina, but I could not catch clearly what you are asking. Would you mind helping me, Mrs. Hellya, to repeat the question, please?
Yes, sure, Mr. Saidan. So Miss Lina asked about the phenomenon that happened in Japan about the child free. What do you think about the phenomenon? Then, because children will grow by the marriage people who live in with mother and father. I mean, then what's the impact of the aspect when the child free it's become increased? I mean.
Thank you. I think it is this question should be directed to the policy makers or the Prime Minister of Japan. But we can logically conclude that if family or the do not have children or child free, and then of course, like what I said in the previous questions and answers, so the numbers of the young generation is decreasing, and then the human resources for to preserve the existing country of Japan is also in danger. That's why the government provide the incentive for the young people to get married, so they could get families and children to continue the number of the populations. And then I think this is not only in Japan. I think, as we can understand, that Japan is like a closed society. Closed society means any other ethnic group or the nationalities are very hard to enter Japan. You can see in Japan very few people from different colors stay in Japan. This is the phenomena. And then to overcome the shortcoming of the human resources or the manpower, Japan invite the laborers from Southeast Asia and other developing countries like Brazil, Mexico, and Bangladesh, India, and something. So when we go to Japan, most of the people working in the companies or the big companies are from other nationalities, not from the Japan. I think this is the consequence, the effect of lack of the young generations, and also the family free, children free. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Saidan. So, Mbak Lina, if you wanted to give us some feedback or want to give more questions, so I please you.
If no other questions, it is exactly 1 hour now. We start from 13, and then it is now 14. So,
okay, Mr. Saidan.
From Miss Ririn.
Is it okay, Mr. Saidan? We still have one question.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, Mbak Ririn, would you like to read your question, or you want to give the question directly to Mr. Saidan?
Okay, please.
Mbak Ririn?
Miss Ririn, are you there? You can ask directly. We are just talking and discussing and learning. I'm not an expert, just common people like you. Yeah, if Mrs. Ririn is not ready to appear on the screen, Ms. Hellya could help read the questions.
Okay. I will read the question from Mbak Ririn. Ms. Ririn, I mean, Assalamualaikum. Thank you for the opportunity here. I want to ask question about what is early childhood education in Japan and in the Netherlands, if it is applied in Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you. As I said in our presentation, that it is similar. The organization and system and concept of education in Indonesia, Japan, and the Netherlands. Before the elementary school, Japan also has the kindergarten or early age education, and then also for people who are busy working, they could send the under 3 or the 2 kids to the daycare, like in Australia too, exactly the same as Indonesia. Usually in Indonesia, in the big cities, I think there are places for daycare, for managing or looking after, taking care of kids under 3 years old, and parents put it in the morning and 6 o'clock, and then get their own children in the afternoon or after working at 5 or at 6 o'clock. I think it is similar like what it is in Indonesia. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Saidan. It will be answer your question, Mbak Ririn, Dewilah.
Oh yeah, just giving a motivation that in Japan, Australia, the Netherlands, every kind of job, every kind of profession are equally paid, no differences. Either bricklayers, either the farmers, either teachers, doctors, they're all highly paid, not like in Indonesia. Thank you.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, Mr. Saidan. Mr. Saidan, there is still participant who raised hand. Okay. Mbak Hafiza Amalia, if you couldn't to open your camera, it's okay, but can you open your microphone?
Okay, thank you, Miss Hellya, and I'm so sorry for Mr. Saidan and Bunda Kulsum and Miss Hellya, and for everyone, I can open my camera because my condition is really not being well. So sorry, Mr. Saidan and Mbak Hellya. Actually, it's an honor to meet you in this virtual session and share your experience, sir. I guess it's awesome experience. So this is the questions. I'm curious about one of value of Indonesian curriculum in Japan that you already presented is preserving traditions. So how do teachers introduce the tradition Indonesia in Japan without interaction directly with these traditions? Because in Merdeka Curricula using concrete thing. Thank you, sir. That's all.
Yeah, thank you. You are welcome. And it is right. That's why the government, after absorbing the aspiration and inspirations from the community and society, we have now have the independence of curriculum or curriculum Merdeka. In that curriculums, one of the focus is that the building and establishing the characters. One of the values in characters is preserving our old traditions, like respecting parents, building akhlak and adab, and then respecting the tradition and something like that. And here in Curriculum Merdeka, independent curriculums, especially in P5, there is also the dimension or the subject of culture and civilization that must be preserved. And then in Unjuk Kerja or what is in English? Yeah.
Is the activity
In a
Performance
presentation or work,
assessment. Performance assessment.
yeah, performance assessment. These practices, little by little, will give the influence for the young generations or for students in any level to absorb and implant the values of traditions. I think we are going like the Japan and other good policymakers there. I think that's my answer. Thank you. Then, before I end my presentation, I would like to give you a very high appreciation because most of the participants in this afternoon session are very good in English. Thank you.
Yeah, we preparing before, Mr. Saidan.
Inshallah. Thank you very much, Mr. Saidan. So I think that's all for the question. Thank you for the questions, all the participants. Before we are going to the next agenda, let me give some
Oh, yeah,
conclusion.
just one question. Mrs. Kulsum Nur Hayati, how many time have you conducted or have you had the meeting like this using other languages like English? How many times?
2 days, just 2 days.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Before we are going to the next agenda, so let me give some conclusion from the Mr. Saidan presentation and asking and answer from all the participants. So the Japan system education, there is a Bushido. It's one of the moral code that we have apply in Japan system, like in truth, virtue, respect, honesty, dignity, loyalty, and integrity. Then also how they could respect each other. There's no hate speech, harassment, or anything else because they have a system like in Ujigi that I know that Mr. Saidan practice it before. There's Ujigi to say greetings each other, so they could respect each other. Then also about the phenomenon in Japan, like in the child free, there's no still the function of government to give an incentive for the young generation to get married, how to produce the next generation. And also one thing that I emphasize about, Mr. Saidan emphasized about how in Japan they do good activity like in using public transport, go to public transport to do and reducing the pollution and emphasizing the characteristic by doing directly. For example, like in lunch, doing together. So they working together in kindergarten, I think, in the Yoichan or Hoikwing, like that, Mr. Saidan.
Yes.
I think that's all the conclusion for our webinar meeting today. So we already at the end of our webinar. It's very time so go fast. So before it, I want to Mr. Saidan to give a closing statement for us. Time is yours, Mr.
Thank you very much. You are responsible for the quality and integrity of the next generations. That's why I would like to give you the 5 not warnings, but 5 things that should be remembered and should be avoided when we like our nations, our next generation, to improve the quality and then and also the welfare, the prosperity of the nation. If we like to avoid our country to be setting back, let our kids and students to avoid the habit like this. 1, they like to live happily, having a lot of money, and then living in a big house, delicious food. And then two, they like to have what we call luxuries, properties, and also extravagant life. But third, but they don't like to work. They are lazy. They are not interested in working. This will be the disadvantage. This will decrease, and sometimes this will support the existence of the nation. And the worst thing is that they like to live happily, having a lot of money, delicious food, and then living in extravagance and luxury house, something like that, having a good car, and then but they don't like to work. And the worst thing is that they are fanatic and radicals. They would like to say, "Oh, you are kafir," or "You are you are not the members of my group," or "You don't belong to my organization." That's why avoid this. You are one of the people in charge of uh, 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 preserving the existence of our nation. You are religious teachers. Avoid this. Avoid being radicals, being fanatic. Avoid being lazy and don't like to work. Avoid extravagant life. They just like living in an imagination. This why I said this, because it is now a trend. People like to flex, to show off, to ria and then ujub, yeah. They like to have excellent life, having good car, a lot of money, and then luxuries, properties, houses, and something, but they don't work. This is sooner or later will eradicate and will decrease the nations, and then the last one will be more disastrous when we are radicals and fanatics. Good luck. Wish you all the best. Sorry for all the possible inconvenient wrongdoers or wrong spoken. And I'm so happy and proud to have you this afternoon. Hoping we are always blessed with health, properties, good life, and successful future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Saidan, for the motivation and also reminder for us. And the next agenda, we are going to the Bu Kulsum Nur Hayati M.Pd M.Si to give the closing statement. Bu Kulsum Nur Hayati M.Pd, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Miss Hellya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Yeah, Mr. Saidan, I'm very happy today. Thank you for your kindness. You give me inspiring and nice presentation, and you remind us as a teacher and educator. Masya Allah. Thank you so much, Mr. Saidan. You know that I have many students, curious and active students here. Yeah. And we preparing this event just 2 days. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, all distinguished participants, we have arrived at the end of our lecturing moment, learn about the concept of education in Japan, not yet in Netherlands, yeah?
Next time, inshallah.
Yeah, Mr. Saidan promised me that we'll present about education in Netherlands next time, yeah?
Inshallah.
Okay, we will be waiting. This event is a lecturing in special edition. The subject is the comparison of foreign curricula or perbandingan kurikulum mancanegara. Okay. And this event proudly presented by my students, my grade students from Magister program of Early Childhood Islamic Education in Sunan Kalijaga Islamic State University in Yogyakarta. I have many curious students, Mr. Saidan, you know from the questions, yeah. It is an honor for me that we can organize this event. For Mr. Saidan, we got values about education in Japan, yeah. Because the values are move forward and advance, but not leaving the old tradition, yeah. We know the performance of Mr. Saidan always using Japanese traditions. I know you love too much Japanese tradition, yeah. Okay, and the second, character and morals are essential of foundation of civilization and nation. So this is our responsibility as a teacher, yeah. Okay, I hope it is useful for us, and I hope we could increase knowledge and insight from Mr. Saidan presentation and sharing today. Thank you so much, our participants. Thank you for your attention. May God always bless us. Happy Eid Mubarak. Okay, may Allah always guide us. Terima
Amin.
kasih. Nasrun minallahi wa fathun qarib wa basyiril mu'minin. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Bu
Thank
Kulsum.
you. See you next time. Barakallah.
Ya, terima kasih.
Okay,
Ya,
thank you,
ditutup.
Mr. Saidan, for
Thank
amazing
you. You're
insight
welcome.
today.
God bless you. God bless our beloved country, Indonesia.
Inshallah, mashallah. Yeah, thank you for the amazing insight and experience that you shared to us today. Then have you always held, have you always happy and blessed by him? Then we also appreciate it deeply, mashallah. And thank you for Bu Dr. Kulsum Nur Hayati M.Pd M.Si for always inspiring and guide us to always grow up and improve ourselves. Then for all participants, thank you very much for to be the great participant. Like in a lot of questions, but I'm sorry we still have a limitation time. Maybe next time, like in Mr. Saidan said before, that we will get the next agenda from Netherlands curricula. Okay, we will let yeah, inshallah we will waiting for it. So Bu Kulsum, do have the documentation, I mean, like for the screenshot?
Oh yeah, okay.
Shall we?
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to remind all of the participants, please open your camera, then we want to do documentation. So make sure, please keep your best smile. It will be recording, then it will be documentation, inshallah.
Okay, are you ready? Yeah, you can please like Mr. Saidan.
Okay, give greetings.
Yeah. 1, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Once more. Wait. Okay, once more. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Thank you, Mbak Hellya.
Thank you.
You are so lucky having Mrs. Kulsum Nur Hayati as your
Okay.
lecturer because I mean, she has a very nice vision, and then broad networking. So you can get a lot of resources. Good luck. Nice lecturing.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, Mr. Saidan. Okay, so we are already at the end of our agenda. So I am Hellya Nisa as the moderator for today. I would like to say I'm sorry for any mistake that I made today. So inshallah we will meet again in the great amazing agenda in the next time. So let's close our agenda with say hamdalah. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin.
Bye, see you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So let's be closed.
Let me leave also. Thank you.
Yes, please, Mr. Saidan. Alhamdulillah. So as moderator, let's we close our webinar meetings. We say wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.